This is Dr. Nachum Kowalski, and I want to thank everyone who has joined us for this webinar session. This webinar session is from SleepASAP, and I want to tell you a little bit about SleepASAP to those who aren't acquainted with it. It's a new global sleep management education platform established by an international team of specialists in different fields, such as art therapy, music therapy, psychology, neurology, and more. We've gathered in order to promote awareness and discuss effective and affordable alternative solutions beyond medications to people with sleep issues. Now, whether you have sleep issues, or you work in the field, or perhaps you're a student who's studying the field, or perhaps you really just want to learn about sleep issues and understand more about them, this webinar is for you. And we would be more than happy if you took a look at all of our previous webinars. We're building the story from week to week, and we would very much appreciate your input and feedback. Today we're going to talk about hypnosis, which is, in fact, a very well-established procedure in all types of medical scenarios. But before we start that, I want to take a moment and I want to just share a quick personal story about sleep disorders. About a week ago, I had a couple of bad days due to my chronic pain. I've mentioned it before, and it's something, unfortunately, I've had for years. Now, sometimes I have bad days, and in fact, this previous week, there were a couple of days when my sleep was totally disrupted, and I ended up being a zombie. I just was not functional. And it was fascinating because everything that I've heard on these webinars, they just flashed through my mind. It was all of the things we talked about pain and sleep disruption and how important it is to sleep. And I can honestly say I'm a walking example of the key value of sleep and how easily it can be disrupted. So I can at least say on a personal basis, I've learned a great deal. Now I'd like to introduce today's guest, Mr. Roger Moore from Seattle. And Mr. Roger Moore has been a counselor for more than 40 years and has been practicing hypnosis since 1997. He specializes in medical hypnosis for people living with cancer, autoimmune diseases, irritable bowel syndrome, fibromyalgia, weight issues, stress, anxiety, and more. Challenges with sleep is a frequent companion to all of these syndromes and diseases I've listed. So this is also very much a part of his work. I also want to take a moment and I want to introduce and thank Anna, our artist, and she will be drawing and at the end posting her drawing of this entire webinar, and we want to thank her tremendously for being a part of this. So let me say hello to Roger. Hi, Roger.
Hello. Good morning.
Hi, it's great to see you. Here in Israel, actually, it's already 6 p.m. and it's dark outside, but soon it'll be summer and it'll be light until 2 in the morning, which is great.
All right, okay.
Okay, so if you don't mind, Roger, I really now want to pass, I want to pass things over to you, and I'd really love to hear as much as possible from you. Could you take a few minutes just to introduce yourself on a very personal level, tell us what you've worked on, your past, and so on. Our listeners want to know.
Well, thank you, Nahum. My original training was in drugs and alcohol back in St. Mary's Hospital in Hazleton in Minneapolis, and I had the privilege of actually training in the early 70s with Virginia Satir. Of course, at that point, I had no idea that I was at the feet of God. That I had no idea who she was, but she's had a great influence on my life and on my career professionally and as well as personally. But I grew up the fat, chubby kid, junior high, used to overweight. I got a medical excuse to get out of gym. Never had another PE class after that. Young adult, I was a total couch potato, very physically inactive. I could diet, I could do deprivation, I could take weight off. But of course, the moment the diet stopped, I always put as much or more weight back on. I did that yo-yo thing, up, down, up, down, up, to where about 20 years ago, I weighed about 115 pounds more than I do now. And at that point, I just said, that's it, I quit. I'm not going to diet anymore. And I just assumed I was going to continue ballooning up from there. I was dealing with blood pressure issues and pre-diabetic and just other health issues that were coming on, and but I just gave up. It wasn't long after that I got serious in my training as a clinical hypnotherapist. I'd been playing with it for years. I'd been reading a lot. I'd been actually using it in my private practice or in the work that I was doing at the time. But in that training, I volunteered to be the subject for a weight loss demonstration, and it was very much with the attitude of, yeah, right, I'll show you. I fully believed in hypnosis, but I was so convinced that there was no way I was ever going to lose weight and keep it off. And plus, we had a kid as an instructor, so I was going to prove him wrong. Went up there, sat there, and you get some smart kid, in there, and it's 20 years younger than you, 30 years younger than you, it's like, yeah, right. So sat through it, forgot about it, but started noticing two things. There were times that my wife would finish eating before I did. That was unheard of. There were times that I'd finish eating and there was still food left on my plate, which was totally unheard of.
Wow.
So I called him up, set up several more sessions, took the weight off, kept it off ever since, went from being a couch potato to I'm kind of a gym rat. I ran 5 marathons. I now do long distance bicycling, and just a complete change in my lifestyle. My practice, I got very um, passionate about assisting people with weight loss, and not just to lose weight, but to truly keep it off. Because what's the point of doing the yo-yo thing?
Sure.
Let's make the lifestyle change and get it off. And what I noticed over the years of doing that was that a lot of the people that I was working with for weight loss were having sleep difficulties. People were dealing with fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome. I started getting referrals from clients, that of their friends and family that were living with cancer or other diseases and sleep issues. And today my practice is very medically oriented. I work out of a cancer center as well as my own offices.
Wow.
And a variety of issues, but sleep is frequently one of the common denominators that runs through it all, or the lack of sleep.
That's first of all, it's an amazing story because basically you went through it yourself, and then
Yeah.
you were the perfect test subject because you were skeptical, and you saw a result, and then you turned it around and really made it your calling to use it to help others. I think that's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I also noticed a similarity in our backgrounds. You said that you had been studying drugs and alcohol, and during university, I was using drugs and alcohol. So I think there's a lot of crossover there. I think which is very important, and
Yeah.
so I think that's probably why I'm still a couch potato. So I guess it explains things. Okay, so I want to ask you, you know, everyone sees TV shows with people getting hypnotized, and sometimes it's done as a trick, and sometimes it's done by the police to remember things. But we'd really appreciate if you could discuss hypnosis and even touch on its connection to sleep issues, but to really explain it to people what it is and what you're doing with it. What kind of, if you can, if you will, what kind of physiological effects it has. Really explain to people because there's so much misinformation about it.
Oh, there is, because Hollywood has certainly created lots of fear and hype around it, from Svengali to CSI Las Vegas to The Mentalist, and people have this belief that I'm going to hypnotize them, that they're going to be out of control, that I can make them bark like a duck, and run around like a headless chicken. I can't do any of those things. In fact, what I always tell folks is I can't hypnotize anybody. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I'm a storyteller. I'm a tour guide, but I cannot make anybody do anything they don't want to do. And if I tell them to go down the street and rob a bank, the only way they're going to consider that and bring me the cash, the only way they're going to consider that suggestion is if they're already a bank robber. And if they were a bank robber and they were going down the street here on the island and decided they would rob a bank on an island, they still, in spite of all those stupid things, they still wouldn't bring me the cash. The people do have choice. It's just they're not going to do that.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
so the part that people misunderstand is that we're always in trance. We're never not in trance. And
Interesting.
what hypnosis really is learning to take control of the trance you're in. It's not about being out of control, it's the ultimate display of control. So if somebody
Okay.
is totally stressed to the max and kind of henny penny sky is falling, woe is me, and it awful, they're in that very fearful stress trance.
Okay.
And my goal is to get them be mindful back in their body, to be present, to be conscious, and to realize that in spite of all the stressors going on,
Right.
in this moment, they're still okay.
Okay.
They may have physical pain,
Mm-hmm.
but in this moment, they can still be okay and take the suffering out of the pain.
Hmm. So you're transforming their state of trance because given their environment, they're always in some state of trance. You're transforming it to something which is beneficial to them rather than problematic.
Absolutely.
I
When
understand.
you drive down the road and you're listening to your favorite tunes on the radio and you miss your turn, um, you're going one place and you end up going somewhere else.
Right.
That's driving trance.
Okay. So I can use that as an excuse with my wife. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
There.
That's good. Now, can you mention something about the physiological effects of hypnosis? How does it affect our bodies, or does it
Well,
really help people, physiologically relax, lower blood pressure, things like that?
oh, absolutely. It's very much like meditation.
Okay.
Uh, Pretty much the same. What I always tell folks is that the difference between prayer and meditation and hypnosis is all shades of gray. That they
F-
aren't,
50
they
Shades of
aren't.
Gray. 50 Shades
Yeah,
of Gray.
well, there you
Yeah.
go. Maybe
Okay.
three shades anyway.
Okay. Okay.
That they aren't delineated real firm boxes. That
Okay.
that prayer is me talking to God, meditation is me listening, and hypnosis is me talking to me.
Very
And
interesting.
and it's so the same physiological effects that occur with meditation occur with hypnosis. Absolutely, blood pressure can be lowered, heart rate can be lowered, blood sugars can come down. We can I teach people how to dial back the pain and to take the suffering out of pain.
Amazing. Amazing. Now, again, you're not sending any subliminal hypnotic messages, correct?
Nope, I'm not.
Okay, excellent. Quack quack. Now, can you mention its connection to sleep issues? Quack quack.
So, so what I do when somebody comes in specifically for sleep, or I'm seeing them for, they're a person living with cancer, and the drugs are wreaking havoc on their body, and their cancer is wreaking havoc on their body,
Right.
and they're not able to sleep. A lot of the work I do is teaching them how to relax their mind and how to relax their body. But
Okay.
along with that is also getting their unconscious mind to work with their body, to work with the medications, and that it's okay to be able to sleep. It's safe to be able to sleep, that sleep is restful, that it's restorative. And there's a woman that I see on occasion for a variety of issues, but she originally came in as a result of a car accident.
Right.
And she's not sure. She may have fallen asleep at the wheel,
Right.
totaled her car, had a broken arm, and she's a woman in her 70s. She had slept all her life just fine up until that accident.
Right.
And after that accident, she'd crawl in bed and her eyes would be wide open.
Wow.
And so we did a lot of work there of getting her unconscious mind to accept that there are times where it is appropriate and it's safe to sleep. and
Wow.
making it okay for her to let down her guard and to be safe, and that she can now sleep. And she's
Tremendous.
sleeping beautifully. It took, I think we had like 3 or 4 sessions specifically about the sleep.
3 or 4
Uh,
sessions, and you basically changed this woman's life.
got her back to sleeping, yeah. And it's a thing of where that memory, that neural net memory was there. She'd slept all her life. Her body knew how to sleep, but suddenly it had to be on guard. And it was just reconnecting back to the old memory, shutting off this new memory of this new decision of I got to be on guard. I can't close my eyes because I might have an auto accident or something might happen,
Sure.
and connecting her back to that place of, yeah, I'm in bed. Everything's okay. I'm under the covers. It's okay for me to close my eyes and go to sleep. It's okay for me to rest now.
Absolutely amazing. I'd like to ask you about the process of your work. I imagine that there's a whole step-by-step process by which a person presents to you. You take them through certain stages. You see them for a certain number of sessions, and at a certain point, you basically discharge them from your care, or maybe not. Could you describe that? How that actually works? A patient comes to you and run through the process.
One of the common questions that I'm asked, and I have clients here in the island, I have clients in the cancer center, and also in downtown Seattle, and then I see a lot of clients online in several states and countries around the world. But the question that's a common thread right up front was, well, how many sessions?
Right.
Well, that's kind of like calling up a dentist asking sight unseen how many visits am I going to need.
Sure. Sure.
You know, it's like, who knows? Um, I tell people to plan on at least 4 sessions to learn some basic skills and tools. And then a lot of it's going to depend on what they want from there. If it's weight loss, my goal is to stay with people throughout the time it takes them to take the weight off. So for some people, that's 3 months, and for some people, it's 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Um, I've got people living with cancer that I've seen probably for 5 or 6 years. You know, certainly not on a weekly basis anymore.
Right.
But when they need the help and support, when they're struggling a little bit, or they got another test coming up, they'll often call me and want to come in. Just often it's referred to as a mental massage.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
but I do a consultation intake often over the phone, and then we have our first session. That's about 90 minutes. I teach lots of tools because I truly
Mm.
want people to be dependent upon themselves and not be dependent upon me. So I want them to use the stress reduction techniques, the sleep techniques that I teach, and also I teach self-hypnosis and how to give, so they can give themselves suggestions, take themselves deeply relaxed, and bring themselves back up in 1 minute. So then it's a functional tool. You know,
Well.
I gave him a link for a 27-minute MP3 recording called Orange Blossom. A lot of people use that for sleep.
Right.
But how many times throughout the day do you have 27 minutes?
Right.
You know, whereas 1 minute, you can do that frequently throughout the day. So I teach lots of quick, easy tools that you can do on the go. You can do eyes open, eyes closed. You can do it while you're driving. What are the tools that I teach, so that then they become functional.
Hmm. Okay. But if I may, I want to just take a step back. You mentioned cancer, and I'm just curious, how does hypnosis help cancer patients? I mean, I assume there are a whole range of problems that they have, not just comfort, pain, and sleep issues. How do you help cancer patients?
Well, a lot depends on what their goal is
Okay.
for therapy. Uh, it's almost always we deal with stress and you know, 'cause the stress and anxiety. You hear that big C word, and it evokes a lot of fear.
Right.
Often there's pain issues involved. There's the issues of constantly going to various specialists and being poked and prodded, and a lot of anxiety that occurs around that. Uh, for people that are doing chemo and radiation, one of the big goals there is to get the unconscious mind to work with the chemo and radiation. Their body's being poisoned,
Sure.
and their body wants to fight against and resist that poison. Well, no, it needs to work with it and work in cooperation with that chemo, with that radiation for health and wellness. I do a lot of work with neuroplasticity
Hmm.
and teaching people how to be basically a better self and create the greatest expression of themselves so that they can create new genes and allow the body to heal. Um, a lot of it's taking the suffering out of the experience.
Now,
Um,
sleep is an important restorative process.
mhm.
During sleep, our memories are formed, our bodies heal better. The sleep is not just the absence of being awake. It's a very active period for the body during which it's able to do a whole range of I guess self updates or self corrections. Do people experience that same kind of restorative state when they are hypnotized, or is the hypnosis just, or let's say in terms of sleep, the hypnosis is to get them into that ideal type of sleep so they can benefit fully from it?
Yes.
Very good.
um,
Okay, that's a great answer.
there are medical studies out there that say that 15 minutes of hypnosis is worth about 3 hours of restorative sleep.
Wait,
Um,
15 minutes of hypno.
and
How is that possible? How can 15 minutes of it? What's so unique about hypnosis that it matches up so well to sleep?
because generally people relax that deeply and the body can restore.
Wow.
Most of the work that I do with folks around sleep is to get their mind, their body to relax, to allow that place to where they can go to sleep and stay asleep, or if they need to get up and go pee during the night, they can crawl right back in bed and go right back to sleep. They don't need to lay there rolling and tossing. They don't need to lay there thinking or body, stiff and wired and or whatever sleep issues that are coming up for them. We use the hypnosis to get beyond that so they can get back to that place where sleep is normal and natural and that you can close your eyes and go to sleep.
Again, I'm really personally blown away by this stuff. Let me ask you: do you have situations where people who are taking sleep medications are actually able to stop taking them once they've undergone hypnosis?
Yes, yes. And um, the woman that I told you about previously, uh, the one from the auto accident, she had been, when she first came in, she was on sleep medications and hating it. And she decided on her own after the first session um, to stop taking the sleep medication. And that did not work out well for her. Her sleep was even worse.
Wow.
And the second session, I found that out, and I told her she needed to talk to her doctor, and he convinced her that she needed the sleep medication. But even with that, she wasn't sleeping. When she got to the point where, through our work, she was sleeping, then she was afraid to get off the medication.
Interesting.
And I saw her recently somewhere else, and she said, "Oh, I want you to know I'm totally off all the sleep medication now, and I'm sleeping like a baby." So that for her it was a bridge.
I'm,
Other people can
yeah,
go off real quick, but for her it was a bridge.
I can only imagine how satisfying that is.
Oh, it's exciting, yeah. When I hear their success, that they create that success for themselves, that thrills me.
Amazing. This case we just mentioned really is a case study, and if I may, I would really appreciate hearing a couple more case studies. I'm sure they're always, I mean, all your years of work, I'm sure there have been quite a few cases that have really stuck out in your mind. And if you wouldn't mind sharing a couple of those with us, we would obviously greatly appreciate it. If they could be sleep related, we would really appreciate it.
Um, one woman. Well, actually, I have a new client coming in today. I don't know much about him other than he took, was it Zyban? I forget what it was. He took a stop smoking medication
Mm-hmm.
about 5 years ago and had some sort of reaction to it. He stopped smoking, but he has not slept since. And it were his words. And so he's coming in today. He's a brand new client. I have absolutely no idea where this will go, what the results will be. Um, a woman that I've been seeing for a while now originally came in for weight loss. She has diabetes. She's scared to death that she was going to, she's having vision issues. She's an accountant, afraid of going blind. And her sleep issues totally revolved around fear and stress and anxiety.
Right.
And she created a lot of victimization in her life, and often talked about how people at work victimized her, how they bullied her, and she'd want to come in, and she was so hung up on her story about being bullied and how this was happening to her and how she was victimized here and how she was victimized there, and it took a bit to get her to stop. And finally, I just had to lay down a rule with her in my office. We were not going to talk about her stories, her victimization, because on a neurological basis, when we go back to that memory of how somebody was mean and nasty to us earlier in the day, and how
Mm-hmm.
they weren't nice to us, and how much that hurt us. Well, on a emotional level, on a physiological basis in our body, it's as if it's truly happening in that moment, and we're just recreating all the same chemistry, and our body's, in fight and flight mode.
Wow.
And so, to get her to stop telling those stories and stop re-victimizing herself, even though it was in my office, that was not happening. The bullying uh, that had happened earlier in the day was not happening 5 hours later in my office.
Hmm.
In that moment, she was safe and okay. And so for her, it was getting her to learn to accept that in this moment, I'm safe, I'm okay. Those things are not happening. And it wasn't long, it was probably another week or two after that, that she started coming in. I noticed there was a difference about her. And it was towards the end of the session, finally, I went, wait a minute, how's your sleep? She was, oh, I've been sleeping like a baby. And I went,
Oh,
okay, that's it. Um, but she had stopped the victimization. And then the victimization was all occurring up here. It was the story she was telling herself. And she'd lay
hmm.
there in bed at night playing those same stories over and over and over and over and over again, and firing all, being chased by the tiger. And when she's laying there in bed at night, those things aren't happening.
Wow.
And once she was able to move to that place of, I'm safe, I'm okay, then she was able to sleep.
Okay. Wow. If a person comes into you with a specific complaint related to their process of sleep, they suffer from nightmares. Is that something you can help with through hypnosis?
Generally, yes. Yes.
Is it?
And
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Please.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask. Is it your intent to try to uncover the reason for the nightmares, or simply to help the patient deal with the nightmares?
Um, Years ago, probably up until 5 or 6 years ago, I would go back and want to know, help them uncover and know about the reason of the nightmares. And today, I don't really see any point in that. What difference does it make? Who cares what the reason
Okay.
is? What's important is We can shut it off now, and that person can stop that behavior, no longer has to have those thoughts, those emotions, and can create a whole new state of being and have
Yeah.
pleasant dreams instead of nightmares. In more of a, from an acceptance standpoint, from an ACT therapy standpoint, of being able to acknowledge that, okay, here is fear, here is nightmares, here is stress. Take the judgment out of it. It's not right, wrong, good, or bad. It just is. And when you can just accept that, okay, I've had nightmares and don't have to put a lot of energy to it, it's like letting the air out of the balloon. And just even getting somebody to that point of acknowledging that it just is a nightmare.
Well,
It's amazing just what that aha moment will do for them.
yeah, no, because there are people whose lives are destroyed by these things also. They relive some type of event and they're just at a loss. They wake up sweating every night and it's just,
Right.
once again, it's an absolutely a horrible situation. I want to
So
ask
instead
you,
of,
oh, sorry, yeah.
well, I was going to say, instead of talking about post-traumatic stress,
Mm-hmm.
I focus on post-traumatic growth.
Very
Okay,
interesting. Very
this
interesting.
happened. What did you learn, and how can your future be better than your past?
And
And
clearly you have success with that approach.
absolutely, yes, yes.
Amazing. Is this something that hypnosis is being used to manage post-traumatic stress disorder in many centers, or is this something which is unique to you?
No, that's what's exciting is that um, the uh, military hospitals are actually bringing in hypnosis and looking at that to deal with post-traumatic stress. And it's becoming more and more accepted that hypnosis is an effective modality for dealing with post-traumatic stress with soldiers and people coming back from the wars. And so to me, that's really exciting that
Very
our
exciting.
military is looking at that in the VA hospital system.
Do you find that medical physicians, the medical doctors, are accepting of what you're doing, are open to it, or they're still very suspicious or skeptical of the power of hypnosis?
Yes, it's all over the place. I'm in the medical dental building in downtown Seattle. I've been there since 1997. There's a very large, I'm on the 15th floor. There's a very large medical clinic on the 6th floor. I'm on the referral board. I'm an accepted member of their community. The physicians there refer their patients to me frequently. And I go down there and do training with their physicians, with their nurses, with their staff. Um, I do quite a bit of work in various hospitals with the nurses and teaching them stress reduction techniques and how to help their patients relax and their trauma victims. And then, of course, there are the other doctors that, that's voodoo, that's horrible stuff. There's nothing behind it, and so it's all over the place. But today, more and more of the medical community is accepting and using it, and a lot of that is Mayo Clinic. Um,
Really?
has a hypnosis program, where they're teaching their physicians hypnosis, and they do a lot of research on the benefits of hypnosis, and other medical centers are doing that as well.
So are you saying that it's possible the Mayo Clinic could hypnotize physicians and make them pleasant?
Maybe, I don't know about that.
I'd like to see the research on that. I'd like to see the
Yeah, if
research
they're
on that.
doing bedside manner or not, don't know.
People, we always like to give people a sense of what they could possibly do at home on their own based on what they've heard. You've already mentioned self-hypnosis. I really appreciate it if you could discuss that more at length and, if possible, um, give a quick couple of tips to people at home how they might be able to take some advantage of, the self-hypnotic approach.
Um, well, a couple things. One is I gave Hemda some links, and one of them to my various sites and or pages on my website, and one of them is to a page on self-hypnosis, and where the entire process is all laid out there of how to do that and how to give yourself suggestions.
Okay.
But real briefly, in terms of teaching stress reduction and hypnotic types of techniques, uh, Nahum, right now just check in and notice what's going on in your body, and notice your any discomfort you're feeling in your body. Notice any stress or anxiety, and on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being absolute peace bliss and 10 being I'm going crazy, how would you rate yourself right now?
10.
10. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, okay. So just
Panda's laughing because she thinks it should be 11, but okay, that's okay.
You're on your
so
flow, Rahul.
so
You
so
know
what?
what? I'm going to get a quick consult here. As I mentioned before, I'm a chronic pain sufferer, and I take enough medication that
Okay.
if I sold everything I have in my house, I could retire. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, so I have to be honest with you. You've opened my eyes to something. I have not. I am aware of hypnosis. I am definitely one of those people who can't believe you could ever be hypnotized. Quack quack. And I am definitely interested in exploring it now. So you've already convinced me that it's something I should explore because basically I'm killing myself with pills. That's very
Absolutely.
simple. My
Yeah.
my sleep is destroyed. Some nights are better, some nights are worse. Last week it was much worse. So imagine I'm the patient who's walked into your room. You look at me, you go, "Oh my God, don't they have a filter on this
No.
room?" Okay, and you've got 5 minutes to fix me. I
So
what kind of suggestions would you have?
okay. So Nahum, is are you open and willing to have that 10 at least become a 9.5 or a 9 or even less?
I'm willing to have you turn that 10 into a 1 or a 0. I would
Okay.
love to get rid of the pain, the
Okay.
medication, the anxiety, all of it.
Okay. So first of all, I can't do that. You can do that. But
But I'm paying
just
you.
okay. But like I said, I'm the tour guide. You're the one that has to do the
I
work.
know.
So Nahum, just wiggle your toes,
Okay, I wiggle my toes.
wiggle your butt,
I'm wiggling my butt.
and take a deep breath in through your nose and let it out through your mouth.
Okay.
And what do you notice at this point? Any
I'm
change?
I'm aware of my body. I'm aware
Okay.
of the parts of my body. Um,
Okay. And being mindful, being in your body,
right.
any change yet in that 10?
It's funny. I can see how if I did that, what you just described, for a couple of minutes, it would make a difference. So I'm going to say yes, and it's something I'm going to
Okay.
try, and it's something I'm going to try.
Okay. And that's not something that, well, you wouldn't wiggle your toes, wiggle your butt, and breathe in, breathe out for a couple of minutes. So other than the breath, you'd keep that going. But
Okay.
that quickly, you can move out of this stress and anxiety and move back here. And just knowing right now, in spite of everything else, that you're okay.
Wow. Okay.
What
Cool.
change is occurring?
No, it's an increased awareness. There's no question about
Okay.
it. I
And what
used to study.
happens on
Yeah.
that scale of 0 to 10?
Again, it's I do. You're right. I do feel a difference. I mean, I
Okay.
studied martial arts at one point, and we learned how to breathe, and that also had the same kind of effect. There's no question about
Oh,
it.
breath is a huge issue. People forget how to breathe.
Wow.
And so you want to use that keto breath where you bring your breath about 3 fingers below your navel, midway between your front and back, and bring your breath into your body.
Wow. That's
Okay.
incredible. That's incredible.
So um, put your thumb and forefinger together
Are you gonna make me quack?
Yep, I am. And take a deep breath into your nose.
Okay.
And as you exhale through your mouth, release your thumb and forefinger. Okay, we're going to do it one more time. This time, put your thumb and forefinger together and close your eyelids. And as you breathe in, and then when you exhale and release, allow your eyelids to open.
Okay.
Watch me, watch me. It's just, it's that letting go.
I'm holding on here. Okay.
Yeah, and then it's letting go.
I feel that.
Okay, but you're not letting go.
Oh, I have to let go of my fingers?
Yes, Nahum, you gotta let go. That's the problem.
Okay.
You're not letting go.
Okay.
You're holding on.
Well, you see, the problem is that you have to start with a certain basic level of intelligence, I think. You know what? We're obviously going to have you back because we're out of time, and I'm not down to a 0 yet. I want to give you 1 minute to summarize the entire field of hypnosis, please.
Oh, wow. Well, it's an awake state. It's a state of relaxation. It's imagination. Okay, it's. You want to know what hypnosis feels like? Nahum, just close your eyes.
You're closed.
And now open your eye. And now open your eyelids.
Open my eyelids?
Yeah, open your eyes. Open your eyes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. It's a natural state. It feels no different. There are times you get more relaxed, but when you're driving down the road and you hear the first note of a song on the radio that you haven't heard since high school and you immediately start singing it, you just went into radio trance.
Wow.
Okay.
Amazing.
That's what hypnosis is like, and it's one of the great things about hypnosis is it's not about being unconscious, it's not about being weak-minded or gullible, and absolutely no loss of self-control. There's no voodoo or woo-woo or anything like that, and it's a very, very effective tool for sleep, for pain control, for weight loss, for hypertension and migraines and cancer and autoimmune diseases. I do a lot of work with autoimmune diseases.
Absolutely incredible. Look, you definitely opened my eyes, and I'd like to think that anybody who's watched this has also gained a tremendous perspective on what hypnosis is. I really do hope sometime in the future we can have you back on. I haven't lost any weight since we started doing the breathing, but even so, I believe it could help. And I personally want to thank you tremendously for your time. This has been an amazing experience, and really from all my heart, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Nahum. It's been my pleasure.
All right.
Can you see Anna's sketch?
That's it?
I can't, no.
Wow, Anna.
It's about the size of a postage stamp.
Thank you very much, Roger and Nahum. Anna, we invite you all to join us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. We wish you all a pleasant evening.
And to all a good night.
Thank you very much.